I like. Hold on 1 second. Can they hear me? Everyone can hear me? All right. Like Nicole said, my name is Raffaellina Merlino. I am the host of Lockbox Philly, which is with My New Philly. We do episodes on a social media channel where we feature a lot of the homes that investors like yourselves at completion. So we do a walkthrough, and it's something that's helped a lot of investors sell homes. So it's something you can talk to me about after the interview. But I am both honored and excited to be here today. I am super excited about Philly Real Estate Week. Like Nicole said, I think this is the time to celebrate real estate and the time to celebrate Philly. So this is an incredible panel. I hope that we all get something great from this. So let's just start by everyone introducing themselves and your business and what you're doing in real estate. Want to start, Tracy?
Okay, I'll start. My name is Tracy Powell. I am a licensed real estate agent, realtor, investor, and slight wholesaler, I guess. So been in the business about 17 years, so been around for a while.
My name's Mike Earley, the owner of the Roy Realty Group. We specialize in investment development, and we also do regular retail purchases and sales as well. I've been in the business since about 2005.
My name is Marc Brown. I actually do mortgages. I got into the mortgage business about 4 years ago. I actually met a lot of the people in this room because of that. Do a little investing. I've been working a lot with investors actually over the last year and a half, and starting to shift my focus back to working with retail buyers. So I'm excited about that because it's obviously a good time to be in the market right now in Philly. A lot of activity.
On our other couch.
My name's Arthur Lyons. I'm the owner and operator of Focused REI LLC. It's a real estate investment company. I buy and fix flip houses, rent houses, but I also help both new and seasoned investors invest in real estate by investing with my company, either to earn phenomenal returns on your money, percentage-wise. I can guarantee you I could beat any bank, any CD account, most stocks and bonds funds, et cetera. I think real estate's one of the best ways to invest. So I help both new and seasoned investors invest in real estate and earn excellent percentages on their money, as well as partner on deals. I wholesale deals as well. That's how I got started and continue to do that.
Oh, wow. Hey, everybody. My name is Jabbar Fairweather. I've been in real estate since probably 96 as a property manager for New Age, helped out on that. Been doing real estate on my own for a long time, and just great to be here. Part of my company name is Local Homebuyers. I got Philadelphia Redevelopment Group, probably like 4 other companies I do, all within the real estate game. And this is a great opportunity for everybody up here.
Believe it or not, I am the least experienced real estate investor out of everybody up here. That's like the funniest thing to me. So I started real estate when we started this group. That's why we even started this group, because I said, I want to learn real estate. I want to do it with my friends. Let's do it together. And so I am like super, super duper duper new. I probably have, just by default of being like super concentrated on learning, I have probably as much education as a lot of these people up here, because I've been at all of the meetings and, help facilitate everything. But that's my real estate resume.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. And I'm glad that we all have a different spectrum experience. I think we can really bring a lot to the table here. So I'm just going to start off and ask you, how did Philly Real Estate Week come about? How did the idea begin, and how was the brainstorming session? Tell us the behind the scenes, because we know there's got to be some good stories behind the scenes.
So I'm gonna start off in saying that the idea came to me by myself. There was no one there. I just literally came to everybody and was like, I got an idea. We're going to do Philly Real Estate Week, and we're going to do it like tomorrow. So that's really, I don't remember even having the first conversations with you guys, like, at all. Does anyone remember? No. You remember? Okay.
You're like, I got a great idea. You're going to be really excited. It's super dope.
Wait, hold on.
All right, so if for background, Nikki will have these ideas, and she'll be like, yo, I'm super excited. You'll be like, what? She's like, you know what, we're gonna meet up. And you'd be like, for what? What is going on? So she's like, yo, I got this great idea. We gonna do like Tech Week. You know how Tech Week is? I'm like, yeah, what's Tech? Yeah, Tech Week. And she's like, yeah. And I got the councilwoman. Who? And she's like, you know what? You gotta come meet me. And that's how we basically talked about it. And then the next thing I know, we having a meeting with everybody, the members, like, yo, we're gonna do Philly Real Estate Week. I'm like, who said we could do that? And she's like, I got this. God loves me.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's about accurate. In fact, we probably had the first conversation. A lot of our conversations started in the gym. She'll be like on the treadmill, come here. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Listen, I got to talk to you about something. I can't talk to you about it right now. I still got 5 miles to run, but after I'm done running, we're going to talk about it. I got this great idea. It's going to be the best thing that ever happened to the city. Okay. And then, the next conversation was, so we're going to do Philly Real Estate Week. And I was like Philly Tech Week? Exactly like Philly Tech Week, but better because it's going to be real estate. We're going to make money. It's going to be good. So it's just amazing to see what happens when, you get around a group of people that are aligned with your goals, how you can make things happen really fast, all out massive action. And Nicole, it's going to be one for the ages. I'm excited.
Seriously.
So wait, let me just also say this. I got the idea, I probably should have said this first. I got the idea after running the real estate league, and I saw how, one, people want information, and two, how so much change is happening in the city, real estate-wise, and if we are not, and by we, I mean non-super developers, if we don't keep our eyes open, things can happen, and we don't even know it. Right? And it's not like they're trying to be secretive about it. It's just that things happen. Like, for instance, when they made the decision to do all that stuff on around 30th Street Station, they had a lot of meetings that were open to the public that people just didn't know about, because everyone wants to talk about Kim Kardashian, but nobody wants to talk about, like, hey, let's talk about how we're going to plan, how we're going to expand Center City into West Philly and, change everything, right? They'll repost some crazy stuff that Kanye says, but they don't repost that stuff, right? So that was my thought behind it. Like, everybody is just hungry for information. People want education. Let's give them what they want in this highlighted week. So that was my thought originally, and then on to Jabbar and Marc. That's how it happened.
I love it. I love it. So everyone here obviously enjoys giving and sharing and contributing back. So in what ways do you, A, think that this will touch Philly, the city? How will this, improve or help? And how will this help both investors, future investors, and even, residents of Philadelphia?
I think I can kind of start with that. Excuse me. One of the things that I thought was very, very interesting and amazing about this opportunity is definitely touching on what was already said about some of the bigger companies and development companies coming in. Philadelphia has become this beautiful, beautiful big powder keg of just resources, and lots of companies overseas as well as different states away from DC and New York are now starting to highlight Philadelphia, because we're kind of that big small city where we have all of these resources, all of this food, all of this culture and everything else, and it's a lot cheaper than a lot of places, and we have a large hub for international travel and that kind of thing, and we have a lot of other tech things that are going on as well. But I felt like one of the big opportunities for Philadelphia with Philly Real Estate Week is to be able to tell our story from residents, to be able to say, this is what we're about, this is what we do, this is our history, this is our culture, and we want to preserve that in some level, so that way when you come in, you kind of know that you're coming into a community already. So let's service that first.
I love that. I love that.
I think the big thing for me was the education factor. A lot of us have been in real estate for a while, and for our Thursday event, we wanted to bring together some of the super developers, as Nikki just pointed out, in the city, so that the people that are new to the business and also have been in the business a while can get some ideas and sit down and talk and speak to these super developers, so we can grow and maybe one day just be as big as them, because as we pointed out, we only have one major super developer on, during our week, right? So it's kind of like, I just want us to be able to ascend to that next level. So that was the point of kind of like our Thursday event, number one. And number two, I like the fact we're talking about giving back to the community. A large portion of the money that we are making off our ticket sales, we are donating to the Nicetown CDC. I was born and raised in Nicetown, and the neighborhood really still hasn't changed. And what I noticed was Nicetown CDC has been doing a lot of work in that community, so we decided to give back to Nicetown CDC. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The biggest thing for me, with the exception of probably Nicole, I've been in this business the least amount of time. I've gotten a lot of experience because I just don't care. I'll work 80 hours a week and sleep in the office and do all those other things to get the reps. But a lot of people don't have that option. Maybe their life isn't set up for that. I had to change a lot of things and step away from things that I had high confidence in to dive into this world. Before I got exposed to this and met people that were doing things in real estate, there was a mystique about it. I always assumed, hey, you got to either have a lot of money or you had to know some people. I didn't think that this was something I could do. When I started working with investors that were younger than me and they owned, 30, 40 properties, they're like retired at 30. I was like, oh, snap. So the biggest thing now is that I want to pass that on to people and, kind of give them the playbook. For some reason, there's a hesitancy, when people get on. They find out a way to do something enterprising, to share that, the scarcity mindset. If I tell you, then I won't have any left for me. Listen, they're not making any more land, but I promise you, you can't buy all the houses in Philly. Everybody in this room together, we couldn't buy all the houses in Philly. We're going to try, but we can't. So if you put somebody else on or you put them in a position to win, it's really just going to set you up for a bigger win in the future. If you put somebody on a way that they can change their family's life forever, and then you had a deal that came up and you said, hey, I need another investor. We got to come in. I need $500,000 from you. They're like, okay, well, you show me how to make $1 million. I think I can spare $500,000. But if you make all the money and then you don't put them on, guess what? When the bigger deal comes up, somebody else is going to get it. So that's the biggest thing for me is being able to just share the playbook with everyone. And I think that we're going to keep doing this. This is going to be obviously an annual event. And it's just going to take away a lot of the mystique, because there's people being taken advantage of because there's not good information that's readily available about this industry. And so that's all we're trying to do. That's like the bigger vision of the league. And so this is beautiful, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, it was two things. When Nikki came up with the idea for this whole Philadelphia real estate REIT thing, the first, thank you. As you see, I'm not a pro with the mic. This is my first debut on the camera. All right. They already told me it looked like I work at Target with my. But I was gonna change my shirt.
That's not nice.
It's all good. It's all good. But all right, I'm gonna let that. All right, let me get it. Two things for me. One is I like the fact that at no point during the planning of this event was there any talk about how much money can we make, how many sponsors can we get, so how we can put percentage in our pocket, how much can we charge for this information that's worth thousands of dollars. There's events, and I talk about this all the time, that I've paid for thousands of dollars for a weekend of information. I talk about it all the time at the Better Than Success meetings on Wednesday of how much money I spent to get the education that I have. And to have something like this where there are other weeks out there whose one of their main goals is to receive revenue from it, we did not talk about that once. That was not the goal. The goal was to bring this information to the city, which brings my second thing that I really am looking forward to about this. Is the other thing is when, Philly's hot right now, and everybody knows the hot 8 neighborhoods, Brewery Town, Fishtown, Northern Liberties, all those areas. And when we were talking about Philadelphia Real Estate Week, we wanted to make sure that we're just not talking about the upper echelon of real estate. It's not just the Comcast Center. It's not just Northern Liberties. It's not this and that. This is something for everybody. So we had very specific conversations about, hey, let's not forget North Philly. Let's not forget Southwest Philly. Let's not forget those low-level income areas. That's part of Philly, too. That's Philly Real Estate Week, too. And so we have something for everybody. Renters, first-time home buyers, from the bottom level of real estate, if you don't know anything, all the way up to if you want to partner with us on some deals, or if you want to call Focused REI for some syndication. All of that. So there's something for everybody with Philadelphia Real Estate Week.
Thank you.
I'm good. Keep it short.
I will keep it short. So, my name is Jabbar Fairweather. I'm really boots to the ground type person. But before all this, I was the typical, I'm going to college, I'm going to get an education. I was going to Drexel, and I was thinking I'm going to be an IS major. But I ended up taking a job as a property manager. And every time my cousin told me, who's Detective Fairweather, about buying properties and real estate around the University of Pennsylvania and Drexel, I said, no, I'm getting an education. Nah, I'm not doing that. Nah, that's too risky. And the thing about real estate that people forget is you live it every day. You know somebody who knows somebody who's selling a house or buying a house. Well, for me, it was like, my dad was a contractor, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to work with my dad, because it wasn't a cool thing. As time went on, I got burnt by contractors. I've had deals fall apart. I got my real estate license and worked at Caldwell Banker. I went to Temple for the real estate stuff. But what I realize now, the biggest thing is people are getting charged and hit over the head $10,000, $25,000, $50,000 for the education that we're going to provide you a better education for one whole week. And every week, we give the same knowledge from people who are doing real estate. A lot of times when people are going to these gurus and you ask them, what are you working on? Oh, I don't do that anymore. I'm trying to help you. Wait a minute, what? And you wouldn't go to a mechanic who doesn't work on cars. But we will go give someone our money, $10,000 or $20,000, who hasn't done a deal lately. If you ask me, every month, I can tell you I did a deal. I closed with Arthur. The thing about this group is everyone in this room, we do deals with. And I'm also tired of people getting their house stolen. Like when I go look at someone in the house, I'll tell them, hey, look, I'm actually telling them what I'm going to do. Here's what your house is worth. Here's what the cost to do the rehab's going to be. And I'll tell them before the other person walks in the room, he's going to offer you $8,500, or he's going to offer you $20,000. And they're like, how'd you know? Because I know their numbers. I know what they're going to say. And if you jump on taking $8,000 for your house, they'll give you $8 and turn around and sell it for $50, or turn around and sell it for $200,000. And we're not educated enough, or we're getting the information from the wrong source. Like we're going to our families and friends to get information, but they're renters. And they're trying to tell you how to buy or sell a house off of Redfin or Yahoo or Zillow. And I'm like, yo, if you come to our meeting for an hour, you're going to actually hear from someone who bought 100 houses last year. You're going to hear from Tia, who does flips and properties. You can ask us about things we're actually doing right now. And I think the biggest thing about Philadelphia Real Estate Week is you're going to get the information from the horse's mouth, and you'll be able to ask questions. You'll be able to trust the knowledge that you're getting without worrying about a cost being assigned to it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing about this is we're real. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not, and I make sure all of us are real. We all do this. There you go.
That's great.
I'm good.
You're not answering that one, no?
Well, you already know. Like
That was amazing,
the reason we're
Jabbar.
doing it. I mean, I have a ton of reasons why. Or what was the question? How do I feel like it's going to help people?
We just carried on to a whole other conversation.
How do I feel like it's going to help
Yes,
people?
Yes.
That question is so layered. I don't even know where to begin. One, I'm not even going to go in depth. People are paying thousands of dollars on information that I don't want to say is for free out there everywhere, but a lot of it is where you could take that thousands of dollars and invest it into real estate, right? So that's number one. Like information is out there, and I want to make the information readily available. But for me, so let me tell you the thing that makes me so passionate about this and how I feel like it can help people. A good friend of mine told me, just in passing conversation, that there's a real estate meeting between all of the big time real estate developers every Tuesday at Radicchio. So like 5-10 people are getting together every single week and just deciding what's happening with our lives. That's not cool to me. But it's also not cool because a lot of us don't even want the information, right? There's a huge information gap. A lot of us, you know, we cry and we want to talk about the G word, like, oh my God, gentrification is happening to my neighborhood. Guess what? If you would have went to the meetings that happened 10 years ago, then you would have known. Or maybe you just didn't, they had the meeting and they just, you know, put it in the classified section in the newspaper that nobody reads. And you just didn't know. So the whole week is really about closing the information gap, making it so that people know what's going on around them, whether you are a single mom, you work at Target, you can go to the advanced event. You might not be able to learn how to invest in real estate tomorrow, but what you will know is what's going on in the neighborhood. And when it's time for you to come and buy your first home, you'll say, no, I'm not going to that neighborhood. I'm going to go to that neighborhood. Because guess what? I went to this event 5 years ago, and they said that this is the neighborhood that's going to be up and coming in 10 years, right? So that part is really important to me, really closing the information gap. And I know that Philly Real Estate Week is going to bring an awareness to people that did not have an awareness about this type of stuff before.
Just awesome. It's great. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I think something that everyone pointed on was the fact that there are some large developers that are going to be at the event, but the road from starting to the large developer is not that. It's not that far, right? So it's a matter of beginning and having the courage to start and surrounding yourself with people that have the right intentions. And being in a room like this is a huge advantage. Mentioning that the profit was not the first thing that you thought about. I mean, it's real estate. Most people get involved for profit. So, which takes me to my next question of, you know, there is that 2035 plan for Philadelphia, but what is your vision? You know, is it a neighborhood you grew up in, or is it a part of Philly that you see a community opportunity, or
World domination.
Yeah. Nicole's not allowed to answer this question.
I'm super not. It's terrible because y'all gonna laugh at me, but I'm dead serious.
Yeah, she's serious. She's serious. But I would, you know, we all have a vision. I think that's why we start in real estate, is that you create something that lasts, right? A home that you essentially get to see a family walk into. When you watch them, you know, you hand them the keys for the first time. So tell us what your vision is for Philadelphia or a specific neighborhood or community.
What I would like to see come from this is, you know, I put it this way. I feel like real estate is one of the only ways to have true financial freedom, to not live paycheck to paycheck, to not be stressed. And I feel like African Americans in general are a little bit behind in the race due to no fault of our own. We know the history of the country and some specific laws that were in place, such as redlining, such as some of the rules with the Fair Housing Administration. And now information is so readily available. I talk about Google University in general, or coming to BTS, Better Than Success meetings on Wednesday. And I feel anyway, a shift in the education and in what you can do with the knowledge. So I think Philadelphia Real Estate Week is a perfect platform to give so many people no excuse to not have this information. We have something you can come to every single week. You can come out and get this information and apply it to help better your situation, to help create some generational wealth, to help get out of debt, to help own a piece of the dream. And I think this is going to definitely impact thousands of people to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's one of the big things for me, is definitely the basis of the information and the education, to make sure that everyone is aware of the resources that are in the city, where to go get those resources, and exactly what they will do for what stage that you're ready for real estate, whether it's I need to buy my own home because I need a place to live, or I'm looking to invest in real estate and I'm not really sure what resources are out there that can help me at the level that I'm at. So those kind of things are definitely really, really important to me for what I want to see happen for this. And I want to make sure that everyone in the city also is paying attention to the city. Because I don't think a lot of people who live in Philadelphia, who work in Philadelphia, who play in Philadelphia, are paying attention that we are on a national platform right now. There are a lot of other states and a lot of other countries that are paying attention to Philadelphia right now. Everybody heard about the opportunity where we're like one of the top 5 for Amazon to come. That's going to be major for Philadelphia. That's going to change so much of the dynamic of how certain neighborhoods have to function because of the influx of people that are going to be coming in, spending money, and guess what else? Buying houses. So if you don't know about that stuff that's happening and you don't know the resources that are already here and available for you as a resident, then you're going to miss out, and you're going to miss out on opportunities for grant money, for resources, and it's a lot of people involved. We have a lot of elected officials' offices who are involved, who are going to be giving us resources for our Homebuyer Education Fair on Tuesday. There are going to be a lot of, the Attorney General's office has also said that they would come out as well to make sure that people who have issues and some of the things with some of their title, we can get you help for that stuff, so that way when the wave comes, you're not behind the 8 ball. Because it would really be a shame to not have those opportunities before the wave hits. So that's
Great, great. Anyone else? Big vision.
I have something. Do you have something y'all want to share? I do have something I do want to drop. I've had this conversation with everybody on this panel, probably from, I'd say, the end of the AI era up until now. There is this shared sentiment amongst many Philadelphians, lifetime Philadelphians, that Philly is whack. Right? Like, how many of y'all have said, like, man, this city's so whack? You said it when you first moved here. Yes. And I have said this to everyone here, that if you do not open your eyes, you will miss this train that the city is about to be on this uptick that it's already on. So if you have it in your mind and you have it fixed in your mind that this city is whack, you're going to look up and the city's going to be super popping. Everybody's going to be making money. People are going to have real estate, and you're going to be still sitting in your corner talking about it's whack. And it's just, I don't want my friends, I don't want my extended family, I don't want the league. Like, when I lived in LA, I came back here in 2012. For every waking moment of the first 3 or 4 years that I was here, I hated it. I couldn't wait to get back. Every month, the next month, like, I'm going back. But I had clients here and other obligations, and I couldn't leave yet. Long story short, one day I just opened my eyes and was like, hold up. If I just ride this out just a little bit longer, things are going to change. We're going to see a new type of person. We're going to see the social scene is going to be different. Everything is going to be different. And, you know, I just wanted to really kind of piggyback off of that it starts with the people, then it moves on to the real estate, then it affects your social life. And, you know, that's what I have to say about that.
It's a great point. It is. Touch on that? Yeah, keep it rolling.
So one of the things that, as I was growing up, I've been around since I was born in 1977. My father was a union contractor. So literally he built South Philly, and I watched where it was a bad neighborhood. So no one wanted to go South Philly. He would go and complain about, you know, people would steal his tools. As time went on, me and my cousin got into it when we were 18, and what people don't realize is the shift has been happening. You got, when it was art museum area, everybody wanted to be in the art museum area. Girard Avenue was a bad neighborhood, and no one wanted to be in Girard Avenue. We were just talking how people are paying $400,000 for shells on Girard Avenue. Well, I was a realtor during that time, and I sold a property to this guy on Girard Avenue for $150,000, and he refinanced it 4 times already. The last refi was $499, and he opened up iMunch. And he was like, yeah, I want to do a business. The part of people saying we don't have money now is no excuse anymore. You have the money. When I was doing this, we didn't have the money. There was no, hey, go get the money from John or private equity investors. We didn't know about that. We were just doing regular real estate where I was the agent. I found somebody who wanted to buy a house, and then my cousin was like, yo, we could buy houses ourselves. He bought from the sheriff's sale, and he rehabbed it. We were getting houses, knocking on doors, and doing hand-to-hand combat and faxing offers over. And as you go to Uptown, people still think Uptown. I remember telling Nikki about on one of the blocks, yo, yeah, they're selling the house for 55. Someone ended up selling the house for 75, getting it for 75. We're losing houses because there's so much competition now. So like, I go West Oak Lane, Germantown. You have Ken, who's giving money from Jumpstart Germantown. And it's crazy because I've hung out in Chestnut Hill, walked there, was like, man, this is nice up here in Chestnut Hill. And then now it's like Germantown is getting an influx of money and it's changing. If you go down Germantown Avenue, you see all the new construction. You go in West Oak Lane, and Nikki's like, yo, I want to make South Philly here. I'm like, no, what? She's like, yeah, we put some rooftop decks. I'm like, no, we. Oh, my bad.
We have to shut his mic off.
Exactly. So you can't let him have no airtime.
Come to Philly Real Estate Week and we'll have more information
Yeah,
for you.
When he started from birth,
That's it. He was giving off.
I was born.
Can we hear more? Can you give back the mic? We need more secrets.
No.
You touched on a lot of great points. So I'm actually not from the city of Philadelphia. I was born and raised in North Jersey, and I consider myself to have the out-of-towner advantage, because when I came to Philly, 6 years ago, I looked around and I was working in Manhattan, commuting to see my husband. I liked him a lot, obviously, to commute that far. But I was like, this is going to be greater than New York. And he's like, why? I'm like, because the people that live here have a neighborhood and they're proud of it. And it's, we live in Point Breeze. One neighbor's been there for 2 years, the other's been there for 30. And if you want to open your eyes and smile, you can. And if you choose to turn your face, that's you. But it starts in the neighborhoods. And I think that's something that's what everyone's saying here is that's what this week is really about. It's about connecting the people and having the information available to everybody, whether you're a newcomer or you've been here for many years. So I guess another question that this takes me into is, what's one piece of advice, if you could give someone about investing in real estate? What's the one thing that you would tell them?
I'll go first since I'm the new person. Since I'm the newbie, my information is not going to be as seasoned as some of you guys' information. I have 3 really quick pieces of advice. The first piece of advice is join Better Than Success Real Estate League.
It's a good piece of
I'd like to
advice.
go on record and say there was a lot of clapping in the room. The next piece of advice is, and I always tell all of our new members this, there is a balance that you have to maintain in terms of analysis taking your time and go ahead and just actually doing it. If you take your time too much and you just decide you want to get so much education, you can get into analysis paralysis. But at the same time, you got to go for it, but you can't be too fast. You have to really walk that fine line. You can get all the information in the world in real estate. Like when we did our first partnership deal together, we're doing the league at this point for almost a year. So I'm coming every Wednesday, getting education from the best people in the city. And then when we finally do the deal, like in the first week, something happened that I never even heard of before. I'm like, wait, what? How many papers we got to sign? What is that? What? We never talked about this before. I don't understand. But you can't, there's no way you can know every single solitary thing before you do it. But you do have to actually get the information. So you have to be really mindful about not having analysis paralysis, but also don't pull the trigger too fast. That is my advice to new investors. Just make sure that you are mindful about maintaining that balance. And then the last thing I want to say is, just because this seems to be some advice that some investors that we know, sometimes people don't do this. Make sure you get an inspection before you close on your property. That's all.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there an inspector in the room? No. Okay.
All right, thank God.
there will be at Philly Real Estate.
Yes.
Right. I think for me, the biggest piece of advice that I can give anybody that's just starting out in real estate is lead generation is the key. You always want to have at least three different sources of lead generation, whether it's, we were old school, bandit signs and door hangers, whether you want to knock on doors to find motivated sellers, whether it's lead pages, whether you're paying for leads from like Z-Buyer or anything like that. But you definitely want to have three different places that's going to bring you in leads, and never underestimate the power of a referral. I got 2 different referrals this week for multi-million-dollar homes that I wasn't even expecting. So, come to meetings like this and join other organizations like the Urban League and, any other organization that you can find to be a part of, and make your face known in those different places, because people will reach out to you to answer their real estate questions. So always have 3 different ways that you can bring in deals.
Thank you.
Investor help. So one thing I will say, because I do a lot more of the acquisition side, which is basically helping investors find properties, as well as the resale side to the first-time home buyer. When you're an investor and you're looking to flip, rehab, resell, keep the buyer in mind. You also have to understand what the buyer's financing, what that's going to require of you as a seller. Sometimes these rehabbers and these investors forget that an FHA appraiser is almost an inspector, and they won't approve your property to be sold if it's not done properly. And most of these buyers out here are using FHA or some sort of subsidy program that's going to require an inspection. So that's one tidbit. The second tidbit I will say is one of the ways to stop the analysis paralysis is if you're talking to people, if you're taking classes, if you're using Google University and you're doing all this stuff, and you find that you keep seeing the same things over and over and over and over and over again, you reach the end of what you needed to know. Jump. You got the resources, you know who you can call if you got a problem. Nothing is ever going to be foolproof. Real estate really isn't. So that's just what I would say. Once you get to that point where you keep seeing that same thing or that same formula or that same information coming back to you over and over again by different sources when you're asking questions, that's when you know you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, the question was, what's one tip? That's super tough because there's so much stuff that I would want to start telling you. I mean, I'd be up here, like, I was gonna say like Jabbar and just be going. I would just start, but so I will try to put it like this: get your mind right. And I used to be upset when I read, not upset, but it used to annoy me that when I would buy certain books or real estate classes or go to a guru thing or whatever, they spend like a half a day just telling you, trying to get your mindset. But I get it now. Now, they're telling you to focus on the wrong things, and I would say if you need to know what to focus on, then pick up the book, The Anti-Hustle, because by Nicole Purvy, because mindset is like everything. And, me personally, I found a renewed mindset and, prayer and meditation, whatever you believe in. And I know what I believe in, but it gives you a focus, and it gives you the confidence to move forward. Then you have to decide what it is you want to do. Pick a lane. There's 100,000 lanes in real estate, and I've tried a lot of them, and I found success in a lot of them, but you will find the most success by trying to focus on a lane, whether that's wholesaling or fixing and flipping or buying and holding, whatever. Find a lane, then find your mentor. I didn't get true, real success until I found a mentor, somebody who I could call, somebody who I could talk to, somebody who I could walk down the blocks with. Remember, I paid money for mentors that were in Utah. I paid money for mentors that live, I don't know where they live. And then you talk to them about real estate. Well, Philadelphia is a city of blocks. You can't tell me something you know about Philadelphia when you living in Utah and your houses are like out in the desert and they're all, single family and whatever. So find a mentor.
How did you build that relationship with the mentor? Like, how did that come about with someone who's local?
I actually did pay for my first one. It was like $3,500 or whatever. But the difference was with him, he was local and he was, humble. He rest in peace. He's not with us anymore. It was called Live the Real Estate Riches or something like that, based out in Bucks County somewhere. But it was a local group. So that's not here anymore, but Better Than Success is. And this costs a whole lot less than what I paid for that one weekend. Mind you, that weekend went by. And in his case, I still, because I had some success with him, I still had his phone number and what have you. Sure. But you can find a mentor by coming here to Better Than Success. If you happen to be in California and seeing this or something, you can still sign up for Better Than Success via web. But you can also find a local mentor in your area in California or Texas or wherever you are. But find somebody. There's local RIA meetup groups everywhere, and you have to connect with somebody that's going to help you along the way. And then they will be able to tell you more of those hundreds of tips that we all would probably want to tell you right now sitting on this couch.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So, I'm going to keep 100. I've been the IS major, information systems major, so I was analysis paralysis, how you want to say it. And I remember getting all the books. When Thaney Merrill first came out, I got his program. I think it was $2,000. I paid $200 a month, and then I paid for Infusionsoft, which was $2,000. What I learned best and most was from the foreclosure, from the sheriff's sale, for losing properties. I learned my best lessons. I realized, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? And as a first-time investor, you think that if you lose a property or you don't make the payments, that your life is over. Well, when everything burned down, I start calling the postcards that everyone sent me. I had about 15 properties going in sheriff's sale and foreclosure, and people start sending me, and I was getting a divorce, so the people start sending me postcards. So I start calling those postcards back. And I start asking people, what houses do you have? See, when you come to these meetings, you're gonna start meeting people who've been there. But when you talk to someone, ask them about the problems of real estate. Because everybody make it sound like, oh, you just make money. And then you give them the money, and when a problem comes around, they're gone. The thing about this whole panel is I've done deals with these people. We've failed, we've lost properties, we've had successes. But you're gonna learn the best lessons in your failures, and one of the biggest things you're gonna have a problem with is contractors. So that's why we do meetings about contractors. The biggest other problem people have is money. That's why we have Marc do things on Saturday about money. So any question you have, someone's been there before. But don't always talk to the person who's never failed, because they're gonna talk to you in a way that you're gonna be like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Find someone who's at your level or getting up out that problem or issue. And then you can ask that question like, well, how did you do it? Because now they can explain to you. So now they can explain to you how they did it. Me, I called postcards and start calling them for inventory, which I sold to my broker who bought properties. Build your team. Before you get into real estate and you be like, well, I got perfect credit, find out an electrician, find a plumber, find a realtor. Find a realtor in the area you want to work with. Find 5 zip codes in your neighborhood that you could wake up and drive to. People go, well, I'm investing in South Philly. What do you know about South Philly? Oh, that's where everybody's at. Well, do you live in South Philly? Well, no. Then you don't know the cultural things that happens in South Philly. Why people park in the middle of the lanes and can get away with it. You don't understand that. When you go to Germantown, there's certain parts where you go, man, the comps are 200,000, but when you go down Baton Street and you're like, whoa, this is the Badlands. Yeah, the comp's still gonna show 200,000, but no one's giving you 200,000 in that block. So you definitely wanna make sure, get with a realtor, get with an investor in the neighborhood and say, hey, how can I help you? Approach people in that way. How can I help you grow your business? Because then they'll give you the game too. All right, sorry.
I like that you mentioned failure, because I think sometimes it's, you have the Fan Merrills of the world and all these real estate gurus that make it seem like, we're raking in the millions and we never made a mistake, but they're also making some big mistakes at the top as well. So, with risk comes reward, but there's the risk. Sure.
My message to everyone, biggest tip, is the same thing I tell everybody every Wednesday. You have to bathe in this, if you know what I mean by that. I have not met a single person that I look up to their competence in any skill set and say, wow, you didn't do any work. It just happened through osmosis. You cannot compete with people like these people unless you're willing to put in some work. Like when I say I slept in the office, I slept in the office. When I say I worked 80-hour weeks, I worked 80-hour weeks all day long. So if you have a job that isn't in this space, that's fine. When it comes to financing, I could actually use that, and we can get busy. But you can't learn this just by magic and pixie dust. You got to put in work. We had a meeting with Bart Blatstein last week, and people were asking him, "Hey, what's your secret? What did you do?" One guy was raising his hand. He's like, "What books did you read?" He was like, "Books." It's like, "I worked hard. I got a house. I worked on it 7 days a week for 12 hours a day. After 2 months, the house was done. I sold it." He's like, "I thought I was rich. I went out and bought a Porsche." That's my secret. He's like, "I had some money left over. I bought a second property. I did it over and over again. Eventually, I stopped buying houses and I got into something a little bigger." You got to put in work. And a lot of times, people do have the analysis paralysis, or they do have this fear that holds them back. But guess what? Before you can be good, you got to be bad. Before you can be great, you got to be good. So you got to start somewhere. If you can just get started and bathe in this, get around people that are doing the things that you want to do. Obviously, vet them and make sure they're legitimate, because some people aren't. But if you find a place that feels like home, get comfortable. Stay a while. Come every week. We're here. We got snacks too.
That's great. Did anyone else want to share anything? Last comments on that last question? So,
Wrap it up.
yeah, we'll wrap it up. So, any last?
Anybody have any questions about anything? No questions?
Philly Real Estate Week.
Yes.
What's a good source to go to? The information you all were talking about as far as neighborhoods changing, anything, any website, anything like that you would suggest?
The question was, what's a good source to find out about changing neighborhoods and the city landscape and urban planning and stuff like that?
I'm glad you asked that question. And you're not a plant. He's not a plant, but because Monday, so I'm the chairperson of the Urban Planning and Development Committee, and our day is on Monday, and the topic is exactly that. That's what the Philadelphia City Planning Commission is going to talk about. Now, I know everybody's been around the city and you've seen those blue bikes, and I don't know about you guys, but to me, they're either in areas that are already hot, or if you see them bikes pop up, you know that area is hot, right? So initially, that was one of the people that we were going to talk to about speaking. And I ended up going instead to the City Planning Commission. I was talking to them, and I mentioned to them about the people about the bikes, that, hey, I was talking to them, maybe you can partner with them, and so we can find out what do they know of why these bikes are going in these particular areas. The city looked at me, they were like, we the one that tells the bikes where they go. Like, they called us, we told them. I said, I'll bump them, can y'all speak? And that's what happened. And so what they're gonna be talking about on Monday at 12 o'clock, the plan is laid. It's laid from now till 2035, and they're starting beyond then. They're gonna tell you every single section of the city and what's coming. I can tell you right now what's coming in 2035, 30, 28, 20, and that impacts those areas that you should invest in. I'll throw out a couple that I know off the top of my head. Well, I can tell you some that have already happened. The Spring Garden Quarter, the whole Yards Brewing plant. That was part of the plan, that whole area there. There's a huge Target coming there, one with the groceries and all that. There's some landscaping that's going to be going down there. What's another big one that people are favorite? The Schuylkill, all along the Schuylkill, they're going to be redeveloping, all that. Upper Northwest, they're renaming neighborhoods. They're renaming whole sections. Places where you live, where you think you know the name of it, that ain't the name of where you live no more.
That's about to change.
You know how Northern Liberties is basically North Philly? Yeah. That's about to change all across this whole city. And then you can look at it and be like, hold up. I live in Southwest. Why ain't there no development coming here? And we asked the city some of these questions, and they really didn't have, well, I'll let them talk about that on Monday. I'll let them talk about that on Monday, what they said. But then what you can do is you could be like, all right, the city says they're gonna do all this. Well, guess what? If all of us in here get the education and we wanna turn a neighborhood, then we can do it. We can pick a spot. We can pool our money and do what we wanna do.
I like that.
So come out Monday, they're gonna be talking about it. They're gonna give you copies of the plan. They're gonna have a booth where they have copies of the plan. They're going to be handing them out. And this is all free information. All I did was I had to connect with somebody at the city planning, but I walked down there. They have visiting hours. You get on the elevator, you go upstairs, and the maps are all there. You can find out the whole plan. Like, it's crazy. I get a little hype. Let me calm down.
But I want to start wrapping up because I promised John. John, where you at? John, where you at? John, the contractor, he left. I promised him we was gonna put the game on.
He's coming back.
Okay. So, anyways, I just want to say that's exactly my point, right? The information is there, but no one's like. We have to marry the two, the people to the information, right? They have pamphlets and booklets and things, that information they want to get out, but people rather look at Alexis Sky's butt on Instagram than go down to the city planning committee. Who's Alexis? Somebody on Instagram. Doesn't matter. And then to go down to the city planning commission and be like, hey, can I get a pamphlet, right? How can I figure out where should I be investing my money?
15 Arch Street, 15th floor.
So, no, they not. They're going to be happy. They want people coming down there.
Good.
Their whole mission is to give us information.
Exactly.
So, you have a question back there?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, the 2035 plan has been out around 10 years. That's how I'm a builder, and what we should do is, we see the plan, that's how we target opportunities. So that's been around, it's been down city plan forever. And really, you need to understand what's going to happen in the city going forward. So that's how, as a builder, that's what we look at all the time.
Say one more thing on that.
I saw that when I got out of college in the 80s, I'm gonna date myself, 85. This city's planning, and they have the books and the maps there, and he showed us then, Parkside, Francisville, everything he said then, and I just didn't, it was all over my head, didn't see it, and I'm watching it happen right now.
Right.
Again.
Right.
Don't miss the wave this time.
Say one more thing.
Don't miss the
Give me
wave
one.
this time.
Yeah, they even, so the city planning, that's one part. And then there's other stuff. There's empowerment zones. There's sections of the city or redevelopment zones. There's literally maps with areas blocked off where you can get money. If you have a business, or you're an entrepreneur, whether it's real estate, whether starting a business, and you pick an area in these empowerment zones or these economic development areas, you can get free money from the city. Those are areas that the city wants to see developed. You can get free signage for your business. You can get houses for cheap. There's so much information out there, and that's what Philadelphia Real Estate Week is going to bring to the people, to the city.
Agreed. And even with the urban planning portion of it, for those homeowners and those people who are buying, because I know a lot of people have gotten that 2019 tax assessment already, and some of those locations that are now hot areas, changing some things. A lot of the elected officials and other community organizations that are coming are going to be bringing resources on how to appeal your taxes so that way you can stay in your homes, how to apply for the homestead exemption. If you don't know what that is, please Google it. There's an application online. You can literally file it, and it can probably take about 30% off of what you're paying right now for your taxes. So that information is vital for those people who are current homeowners or who are looking to buy in this area and want to be able to stay and keep it around. But nobody knows this stuff. They're kind of keeping it in these little booklets and, never get them out into the city. So now we're doing Philly Real Estate Week so we can bring all of that information to the forefront. Literally, the people who file the paperwork will be there and literally can say, oh, no, here, fill this out. I'm going to sign you a number, and then you can come to the office, and you're done. So that information is going to be pretty vital as well.
Huge.
Yeah.
One of the things that's amazing, everybody's so in alignment on this panel. As Arthur was talking, something was popping into my mind, and Tracy and I made eye contact, and she's like, yeah, I'm talking about the same thing. So I have a unique perspective working with investors because I started off in the mortgage business working with retail buyers. That's people buying houses to live in. And so there's financing programs that are available that most mortgage professionals don't even know about. Or if they do, it's just kind of like a cursory thing like, oh, okay, sure, keep it moving. Typically when people talk about first-time home buyers, they're referring to FHA financing. But there's first-time home buyer financing that was actually designed to compete with FHA financing that's superior. You can actually put less money down than you can with an FHA loan. And long term, it's a less expensive loan to have. But for lenders, when they're doing those types of loans, they don't make as much money when they resell those loans in the secondary, so they don't really promote that as much. But these programs are available, and Philadelphia is one of those areas where there's a lot of census tracts that if you look at what's happening on the ground as far as the development and rehabs and things like that that are going on, it's not even consistent with the census data for those areas. So there's low to moderate income financing that's available for people in areas where houses are going for $400,000. That's a big deal. You know, if you're looking to buy a house to live in, that may mean, hey, instead of me having to put 5% or 10% or whatever number I had in my mind down, I can literally do 3% down, take the other funds that I had saved up and maybe grab my first investment property, you know, or you could house hack, use your FHA for a multifamily property, you know, and then, hey, your job changed and now you got to buy a single family house in a different neighborhood. And you have an investment property that's bringing in income for you because your tenants are paying for your mortgage. Like, these are things that from an investment standpoint, you want to know, because as Tracy said, when you're looking at your exit strategy or whatever you're going to be doing as far as your plan for that property, if I'm going to be renting it out or if I'm going to be selling it to someone, I need to know what the options are, right? If I'm going to be selling this to a retail buyer, I need to know how they can get financed and promote that and say, hey, in fact, I'm focusing on areas where I know somebody can get first-time home buyer financing and only put 3% down. And when my agent lists it, they advertise that. And, you know, when they talk to their mortgage professional, they can get them qualified for that types of financing. So you guys gotta know what's going on in every facet of the game so that you can really compete, because otherwise you're just going to be missing opportunities. It could be, you know, money that you're leaving on the table when you sell a property, or it could be an opportunity for you to go after a specific area where that financing's available and you could just corner the market. Hey, we're doing first-time homebuyer financing for everybody that buys here. Okay, great. What does that mean? It's your first time buying a house? It's your first time buying a house? It's first-time homebuyer financing. That's it. That's what that is. It's not any special program. It's your first time buying a house? Yeah, first-time homebuyer financing. You get it too. So you guys got to just keep your head on a swivel and be able to soak this up. And we're going to have a lot at the Homebuyer Bazaar. We're going to have some vendors out. I know we're going to be sponsoring that event because we want to be able to get this information in people's hands. But, you know, whether you're buying a house, thinking about buying a house, know some people that want to buy houses, want to invest, whatever, these are the information that they want to know, because that opens up doors and it gives people options.
Thank you. There's been a lot of good information here tonight.
Yes.
Really, really great information. And I just want to congratulate everyone here for what you're doing. I feel both honored to be here, and I also feel I'm excited and grateful for what you're doing for the city, because I think this is going to be huge. I know it's an idea, and you were saying analysis paralysis, and you went for it, and you did it, and you came together, and you are in a room filled with people that are ready for this information. So I congratulate you. So round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you to My New Philly, and thank you all for coming out. So what we're going to do now is, what time is it, y'all? 8:33. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do something fun. Y'all know the drill. Members, enjoy yourselves. Non-members, I want to see you up here. Do you want to know how you can get access to all these premium events for free? Yes. So non-members, I want to see you up here. We're going to have a brief conversation. And who has NBA online something? You do. Awesome. Log into my computer. We could put the game on as soon as I'm done talking to non-members. All right, guys. Enjoy the pizza and the food.